What up, Homedawgs? My name is Gokey Gamer, coach of the Milwaukee Meta Champs, and welcome to this video. Unfortunately, I don't have time to make a dedicated intro for my games this week since I'm trying to catch up on videos, but I'll have the matchup and our opponent's information displayed on screen now, and the team I'm bringing to counter it will be linked down below. Also, full transparency before heading into this game, because of my insanely busy schedule, there won't be as many edits in this video. However, all of my most recent games have been absolute bangers, so I'm sure you'll still enjoy this game regardless. Without any further ado, I'm not going to keep you guys here any longer. Let's go ahead and head into the battle. Hey you everybody, welcome one and all to the NBBL Week 8. I know I explained things a little bit in the intro, even though it was a very quick intro, about the matchup and all that fun stuff. But, unfortunately, because this was recorded the day that I was out of the house for like 12 hours and I needed food desperately, I was like, I am desperate for food. I decided, you know what, frick it, I'm just gonna make this a post-commentary while I eat food. I'm sorry that this is the way that I'm ending off the season, but I just needed food and I wanted to enjoy the food because I'd gotten Domino's for a little treat. So I was like, yeah, I wanted to prioritize enjoying that. So that's why I didn't do any post-commentary in this video, but this video is still really fun regardless. If you took a look at the team just down below, you'll notice that I ended up bringing a Trick Room team, which is very exciting. My Sinister has Trick Room, then we have Greedent with Belly Drum, Gyro Ball, Facade, and Earthquake, all that fun stuff. So, yes. So we see my opponents bringing Dodrio, Gardevoir, Scovillain, the Zamazenta, Landorus, and Vaporeon. I knew they were going to bring Dodrio because they briefly mentioned that earlier in the day, so I mentioned that I was bringing Greedent because I wanted to make sure I at least brought Greedent to one game, and all that fun stuff. Overall, this is definitely not the worst team that I was expecting. I was really worried about Electros being here, for example. I remember that. I don't remember much else. Let me see if I have I don't have the matchup on me, so give me 1 second. Oh wait, I do have the matchup on me here. So yeah, I was worried about like Torkoal. I was really worried about Roaring Moon being here, so I was really glad not to see that. Both the Terra Captains being here wasn't something that I necessarily expected, but it kind of made sense. So yeah, I mean, pretty much everything I more or less expected. I am glad not to see a Hisuian Quillfish. That opens up my Sinistcha a lot more, which is great. I am a big fan of that. So yeah, not much more needs to be said. Palafin Hero is just a standard Covert Cloak. Covert Cloak for Scald Vaporeons, because Vaporeon will always be the swap into Palafin. And then we have like Volbeat to help out with Thunderwave, Encore, Roost, and U-Turn pivoting. We've got the Pelipper to knock off items and things like that. And then we also got Clover, Cloak, Gemstone, Terra Fairy, typical set with Draining Kiss, Diamond Storm, Calm Mind, and Earth Power, just in case it comes down to that. So, I decided to go ahead and lead Palafin to get my thing off my 0 to hero, just to get that triggered. And we see the Zamazenta lead, which is immediately a very terrifying lead off rip. I decide here I'd switch into Pelipper. Pelipper, is that the best situation? I don't know. I don't know if that's the most ideal here. I'm not even going to lie. I think Volbeat would have also made a lot of sense, but it is what it is. So, I apologize, but yes, so we're going to go ahead, switch in Pelipper here. I think I wanted to set up the rain as well, just so that way, you know, and again, like, the one thing that this thing could really hurt me with is Heavy Slam. I mean, not Heavy Slam, Wild Charge. So I was like, okay, I can do a decent chunk of damage with this Pokemon, and then I can just, you know, like, be a nuisance to this thing. So I'm like, I can fire off a Hurricane here, it's going to do a crap ton of damage. I think I'm calculating here to see if Surf or Hurricane does more. I can't remember which does more. I think Hurricane still does a little bit more, and also has the chance to confuse as well. So it's like, there's no reason for me not to click that button here. We are going to see how I'm immediately pretty terrified at this point in the game. I also want to make sure I don't lose Pelipper. I go for Hurricane here to see how much damage it does, and it doesn't deal that much damage, and we don't get the confusion off. So I'm like, okay, crap. I wasn't expecting this lead off rip. There's no way that this Pokemon can just win the game, because we do have things like Sinistcha and obviously Volbeat in the back, so I'm not too worried. I here now decide to go into Volbeat and hope that I should be able to live any attack that this thing wants to throw at me, ideally, especially if it's like a close combat. We see Stone Edge and they miss. An absolutely massive miss for me, because that means I can just go for a Thunder Wave. And yes, Volbeat will probably die on this turn if they opt to stay in, but that means this thing gets paralyzed and it is severely weakened for the rest of the team to just kind of go ham. And the best part about being paralyzed is, like, it still doesn't benefit my opponent in Trick Room that much aside from Palafin. And PALAFIN was never meant to be pop off in Trick Room anyways. PALAFIN was mainly there to just deal as much damage as possible. I also have Jet Punch as well for priority in Trick Room, which I think is very valuable. So, like, the rest of my team, like, PALAFIN likes being fast in this thing quite a bit, so that's very nice. And then also my team doesn't get negatively affected because of the speed drop, because the Zamazenta still will outspeed everything even when paralyzed, which on paper is a little bit scary, but it makes this much more manageable as well, so that's very nice. So we're gonna go for the Thunder Wave here as they opt to stay in. We get this thing paralyzed, which is absolutely amazing for me. I'm very, very happy about that. And this time, they do actually decide to land their Stone Edge. I think they were calculating to see if Heavy Slam would KO, and it probably didn't. So we do see that Volbeat goes down here. Very unfortunate, but we do thankfully land that Thunder Wave, which is absolutely amazing for me. So now I have to think about, okay, what Pokemon do I go into next? Like, I could go into Sinistcha, I could go into Gemstone. I think here I decided to go into Sinistcha just to deal as much damage as possible with the Scald and the Rain, because that just does a lot of damage. And yes, I can't burn this thing, but because it's paralyzed now, but at the very least it's slower. I can go for a Trick Room if I really want to. I just decided to go for a Scald here, underestimating how much damage that this thing is going to do to me. I am max HP, max Spadef, if I remember correctly. Let me take a quick look. I am, in fact, max HP, max Spadef, so I'm not Fizdef. I was really wishing I was Fizdef now in this particular situation, because we've seen 3 out of 4 of the moves, and we can safely assume that the last move is Close Combat. We see Heavy Slam here. Boom! It does a lot of damage, which I'm not the biggest fan of, and it made me really wish I went for a Trick Room here, so it is what it is. And we also see that the rain stops, so I'm like, okay, crap, what do I do here? This is a bit of a problem. So we restore a little bit of HP with our leftovers, and now I'm like, okay, because in the back of my mind, I'm also thinking about, I have to make sure that I am able to win the rest of this game with as many Pokemon alive as possible. Because the reason being, let's see, give me one quick second, actually. Sorry, I was very confused for a second because I heard noise and I was like, is everything okay? But anyways, we see the swap here, and we are going to go ahead and go into Toilet Bowl the Pelipper, just to set up the rain. I think this thing could be in range of a Wave Crash from my PALAFIN, even at +1 at this point, so that is kind of what I'm banking on here. We see another Heavy Slam. It does a lot of damage, and I'm like, okay, crap, this is not ideal. So I'm kind of like hoping for a paralysis here. I'm kind of hoping for a few other things to happen here. I could go for a knockoff on a switch, but that doesn't make much sense. I could also just go into PALAFIN here to resist the next incoming Heavy Slam, or, like, you know, the Stone Edge as well. I decided to go for a Roost here, and we just see a CC, which is actually ideal for me, because now I can definitely KO this thing with a Wave Crash, and because I outspeed with PALAFIN, PALAFIN is just an easy swap to make here. Like, I can easily swap into PALAFIN and just threaten this thing out immediately. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm expecting them to switch out this Pokemon, because this Pokemon is still very valuable to my opponent, I feel like, even though, like, you know, it is paralyzed and at half HP. I think that Vaporeon just makes the most sense as a swap. I think I can just freely go for a Bulk Up here. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go for a Bulk Up. This is a little bit of a gutsy play, and as my opponent kind of said earlier, it was like, they were thinking that I was going to go ahead and, go for the kill against this Pokemon, because obviously this thing is, like, at +1, it's paralyzed, and it's not going to be that good. It's not going to be as good as it is currently when it switches back in, because it is at +1 in both attack and defense, and that's going to go by the time it comes back in. But I'm like, but in my thought process, Vaporeon's always going to be the switch in against this Pokemon, like, just every single time. And also, this thing could get paralyzed too. There is that too. And if it gets paralyzed, then I can just go for Drain Punch and restore quite a bit of HP back. So there is that too. Because at +1, I'll definitely be able to KO this thing with a, like, Drain Punch, and there's no way that this Pokemon can KO me now as well, because they don't have Wild Charge. So there is 0 chance of this thing KOing me. We do see that they swap here, which again benefits me very heavily. We see Neptune, which is going to be the Vaporeon coming in here, which is great for me. This Vaporeon just cannot touch me. I am concerned about an Encore set or something like that, or like maybe like Baby Doll Eyes or something like that. I am a little bit concerned about that, but I'm not too worried at this point. I'm just trying to get intel at this point in the game. I'm trying to figure out what set this is, you know, kind of thing. This is another reason why I save Sinistcha as well. Sinistcha, I'm hoping I can set up a Trick Room with, and then, like, get Greedent in to get a couple KOs. I just go ahead and set up another Bulk Up. I risk the Encore, and I just go for a second Bulk Up to see what this thing wants to do to me. And we see that this thing goes for a Witch. surprisingly enough. And I'm like, okay, so that's interesting. So I'm worried about the Zamazenta coming in and just picking up a KO. I can go for a Drain Punch here very reliably because let's see, as you can tell, I got thrown off there, but I was like, you know what, I can go for a bulk up here. I remember why I did this now, because the only Pokemon that can greatly benefit from Wish at this point is the Zamazenta, and, like, there's nothing else that, you know, really wants to deal with that. Like, you know, I could just set up the +3, and then, like, the frickin' whatchamacallit, Zamazenta can't deal with me. So that's why I set it +3, and also it basically wasted a turn against my opponent. So now we're at +3, and we are looking really solid. We can't get burned because of the Covert Cloak, which is amazing for me. We go for the Drain Punch. It does half to this Vaporeon, which is absolutely amazing for me, and we get back up to full. So I'm very interested to see what my opponent ends up going for here. We just see a Scald, and I'm like, okay, they could switch into Landorus here, they could switch into Gardevoir here, they could switch into a few Pokemon here, but because the Chandelure isn't here, I can just freely go for another Drain Punch. Even if the Landorus comes in, that's fine, because we only go to, oh my gosh, we go from +3 to +2, oh no. And we do see that that's exactly what my opponent is going to do. They are going to go into Landorus here, and they are going to take a decent chunk of damage from this Drain Punch. They're not going to enjoy this hit. So we see the Intimidate, and my attack falls, which is fine. We go for the Drain Punch here. At this point in the game, I decide to value setting up more with my bulk up, because the reason being, I don't want to go for the water type move and risk the Vaporeon coming in. If the Vaporeon stays at, like, below half, I'll always be able to KO with a Drain Punch. It won't be able to Wish Pass stall me, and even if, like, they knock me off here, for example, that's also fine, because that means Vaporeon just won't be able to come in for free. And especially if I get up, like, my stats a lot more, this is just very beneficial for me in general. I hope this is all making sense anyways. I hope this is all making sense to everybody in my thought process here. But yeah, so PALAFIN is looking really, really good right now, because it can, like, destroy so many Pokemon with Wave Crash and Jet Punch, especially once Vaporeon goes down. Like Scovillain, Gardevoir can be Terra Water, so that's something I have to keep in mind. But like Dodrio, if nothing is Focus Sash, it drops. It literally drops. Zamazenta is weakened down at this point as well. We are going to see the double, so they did predict that I was going to go for the Water type attack, so that makes me very glad that I made this play here, going into the Vaporeon, as I go for a bulk up. So now I'm at +3 attack, +4 defense, and here I believe I just go for another bulk up, because it's revealed at this point, like, okay, this thing doesn't have Encore, and if it does have Encore, then it risks dying here. I believe it's no longer, well, I think it is still in range of a Drain Punch here, so I'm like, okay, this is fine, I can just go for another bulk up here. The worst that this thing can do to me is, like, Scald, basically, and because the rain is gone, it's not going to do nearly as much damage as it did previously, which is also amazing. And yes, they could go for a Wish Pass into Landorus, but again, that's fine. We saw how much damage that Drain Punch did to Landorus at +2, so, you know, like, I'm going to be just continuing the setup in this thing's face, which is absolutely amazing. This Vaporeon can't touch me at this point, and I'm living for it. We just see a Scald, which is best case scenario. It doesn't deal that much damage here, which is all good with me. And I think here I might go for, Drain Punch here, just to help get recovery back. I think that's what I do here. Yes, that is exactly what I do here. Because then I either KO this thing, Vaporeon either straight up dies, or if Landorus comes in, then it's going to do a crap ton of damage to Landorus. We are going to see the swap, and we are going to see that Landorus is going to come in here as well. The champ, Landorus! And we are going to see the Intimidate, so now I'm at +3 instead of +4, which is fine. I'm okay with that. And we're also at +5 defense. We go for the Drain Punch here. That looks like it's in range of another Drain Punch, so I'm mad chilling right now. I can't remember if I go for a bulk up here or a Drain Punch to pick up the KO. I think, let's see here, you double check my stats as well, I'm at +3 and +5. I think here I might click Drain Punch again, because I think it looks like it's in range, so, and they might not predict me to, and like if this thing dies, then I don't have to worry about Intimidate drops anymore, which is absolutely amazing. So I do go for the Drain Punch. It also kills Vaporeon on the switch, and we do see that they opt to stay in, and Landorus goes down. I think that might have been a roll, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But yes, Landorus is down. We can now no longer get our attack lowered by anything, which is absolutely amazing for me. I'm a very big fan of that. And we are going to see, I can't remember if the Vaporeon comes in or if there's another Pokemon that comes in here, because I know Gardevoir comes in at some point. in this game. I can't remember if it's now or if the Vaporeon comes in first. It's going to be one of the two. I can't remember exactly. I think Gardevoir comes in here next, if I remember correctly. So the next Pokemon comes in here, and it is actually going to be the Gardevoir. So Gardevoir comes in here. I'm like, okay, that's fine. This thing dies to a Jet Punch. So I go ahead and click Jet Punch here. Now, granted, like, it could be Terra Water, but I'm not even thinking about that at this point. I'm not even gonna lie. We do see the Terra. I did forget that this thing could Terra, so, but this also reveals that Scovillain can no longer Terra, which is also very, very nice information, and we do see the Terra Water, so now it will live a Jet Punch, but that is, again, completely fine by me. Like, Gardevoir could be going for an Energy Ball here, but I think at this point, Energy Ball won't even KO, even if it's like Choice Specs, I think. I might be wrong with that. But we see that they actually go for Destiny Bond, which was very fun tech to see. But the nice thing about that is, all I can do is just go for Bulk Up. That's all I need to do. This gives me a free Bulk Up here. There is zero reason for me to not Bulk Up. I did see later, like, they did reveal later on that they were in fact Choice Specs. Choice Specs with Destiny Bond was such a fun tech to see. But, yeah. So this Gardevoir is no longer a threat, because I can just click Bulk Up to stall this thing out. If they go for an attack versus me that breaks the Destiny Bond, then I can safely KO with a Jet Punch. If they opt to, you know, like, just go for Destiny Bond again, I can just go for Bulk Up again, especially if they succeed on that Destiny Bond. They do decide to stay in and go for Destiny Bond, and this time it does fail, so I can just go for a Jet Punch once again. Even if the Vaporeon comes in, which it looks like it probably will, that's still okay, because we're at +4. The Vaporeon's no longer a switch. The Vaporeon's no longer a switch, even with the Water Absorb. So we see the Vaporeon come in, and obviously it was like near full HP anyway. Like, it was pretty close to full HP, so, you know, it's fine. We see the Water Absorb here, and they restore, not even back up to full, which is also kind of crazy. I didn't expect that. I thought we were going to see full recovery there. But that's fine. Here I can just click Drain Punch for free. Nothing, literally nothing is a switch anymore. The Gardevoir lost its resistance to it. Zamazenta is weak to it. Scovillain and Dodrio will just drop to it. So we are just chilling right now. We can go for a Drain Punch for free, for the freest damage and HP recovery possible. And yes, like, they could Wish here, which I think is exactly what they do next, but as you can tell, it's a 2-shot. Nothing wants to come in against this Drain Punch at this point. We do see another Skull, but because we are Covert Cloak, we cannot get burned, and I think that's what my opponent was banking on. They were praying I wasn't Covert Cloak, but I was Covert Cloak, and they kind of mentioned afterwards, it was like, yeah, I figured you were Covert Cloak. So, yeah, we just go for Drain Punch here. We pick up the KO against Vaporeon, and the rest of this game, the critical hit didn't matter. This is pretty funny, but the crit didn't matter. And the rest of this game is basically sealed for my opponent. At this point, we're just hoping to not see any, like, Focus Sash or anything like that, because now Jet Punch is extremely spammable, especially if, like, something is Scarfed, like Scovillain just dies, Dodrio just dies, Gardevoir just dies, Zamazenta just dies. So, literally, we literally win the game with Jet Punch, so I'm gonna go ahead and just fast forward a little bit. We see the Scovillain come in, and I'm like, okay, let me double check, make sure that this thing dies to a Jet Punch. It does. I go ahead and click the Jet Punch button because I can and I want to. I make sure I click the Jet Punch and it doesn't drift. We go for Jet Punch, boom! The Scovillain just drops immediately, which is awesome. And then, let's see here, we go for Jet Punch again versus the Gardevoir. Gardevoir drops, the Terra Captain is dead. All that's left is Zamazenta and the, what was it? It was the Dodrio. So here we see that the Dodrio comes in. Fingies, we go for the Jet Punch here, boom. This is a very fun set as well. It was Sky Attack with Power Herb and Acrobatics, which is really cool to see. But unfortunately didn't get the chance to pop off here, it just dies. And then here we have the Zamazenta crowned, and it also drops. PALAFIN 6-0ing my opponent, winning us the game. I know I have some commentary after this, so after I talk about the commentary there, I'll go ahead and talk about the standings. Do we get demoted to Academy? Stay tuned, and I will see you all in just a second. Okay, I just had to join in here. I've been eating dinner while playing this game, but GG's to my opponent. What a crazy game. Covert Cloak definitely came in clutch there. I'm very glad about that. I think this might barely get us out of getting demoted, which is amazing. I'm sure I'll have a thing to get into on the thing, but yeah, PALAFIN really came in clutch there at the very end. At the very least, we got, I think that was a 6-0 sweep by PALAFIN, right? I think it might have been a 6-0, now that I think about it. I might be wrong with that, I might be wrong, but I think, yeah, no, it was a 6-0. Let's go PALAFIN. Heck yeah, baby. Regardless, I will absolutely gladly take that. GG's to my opponent. What a very well-played game. PALAFIN coming in clutch. And now I'll go ahead and take it to future me to wrap things up. So thankfully I can actually now confirm that I did manage to barely dodge getting demoted to Academy. Because of my 4-0 victory versus Oro, we ended up tying in the differential, but I secured the slot above since I won our game. And combined with Amber also unfortunately losing her game, I ended up tying for 11th with Mr. Shell and Oro with 3 wins, 5 losses, and a -8 differential. That being said, fun fact, because of PALAFIN going absolutely insane in this last game, we somehow managed to tie for the kill leader in the entire league alongside King's Terra Reuniclus. With 6 games played, 16 kills, 4 deaths, and a 12 in differential. Not gonna lie, I am still kind of shocked that this happened. Unfortunately, there weren't really any other notable placements for our team, as our second place Pokemon was Diancie at number 30, and surprisingly Iron Moth had one of the worst performances in the league, getting a number 160, only 5 slots ahead of the last place Pokemon. Overall, I had a rather interesting experience with this team. By far and away, the biggest hole on our roster was unfortunately Hydrapple. As much as I tried to bring that mon to a game, I just hated the combination of being weak to U-turn and being quad weak to ice-type attacks. I found myself wishing that I could Terra Hydrapple on this team, but I didn't want to get rid of Terra Diancie and Kilowattrel, both of which I really enjoyed using. I really wish I made the trades with Hydrapple and Chargebug for Sinistcha, Greedent, and Volbeat a lot sooner, as I think the team became a lot better after those trades were made. Hoopa Unbound being quad weak to U-turn was also not very fun to deal with, as many special attackers that Hoopa would typically wall ended up being able to easily counter Hoopa due to having access to the move. It didn't end up affecting the team as poorly as Hydrapple because of Hoopa being such a hard hitter with 2 amazing stab typings, access to knockoff, being able to run mixed attacking sets, and having so many resist to bug type attacks, but man, that quad weakness was still unfortunate. In terms of Pokemon that I really enjoyed using, the Terra Captains are always a ton of fun. Both Terra Kilowattrel and Terra Diancie are so insanely powerful in my opinion, so it was a ton of fun to be able to use them again. I really wish I got the opportunity to use Sinistcha a little bit more because I ended up enjoying using them in the 2 games I brought them to. And of course, having PALAFIN popping off and going crazy in so many games was so much fun. I want to try to use PALAFIN Rain team again in the future, but definitely with different Pokemon. I felt like some Pokemon like Kilowattrel, Sinistcha, and Fortress paired up well with PALAFIN in the Rain, but I think I could absolutely come up with a better team, especially after my recent experiences and learning curves that I had during this season, as well as the CMN with the not-so-mid-horse Spectrier. All in all, while this definitely wasn't the best season for the Milwaukee Metachamps, I still had a blast hanging out with everybody in the league again, and it was fun seeing Pokemon that were typically banned, like Chanpal, Fluttermane, and Dialga Origin on teams in this league. And I also had a really fun time using this weather team, even if I could have built it better. In terms of whether I'll be taking part in next season, that's a bit up in the air. I'm currently working on an update video that will be going up sometime in May on the main channel, and a large chunk of that video will include future plans for me in draft leagues, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe to this channel so that you can continue to get fun games from ya boy. We're currently doing pretty well in both the Master Ball and Luxury Ball divisions of the SPDA, so if you want to see me continue to do draft leagues, then I highly encourage you to check those videos out too. Thank you all so very much for watching this season. I really hope that you all enjoyed and I was able to give you all some entertaining games. Let me know in the comments what type of gimmick team you'd like to see me draft next. And with that being said, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Peace out, mates!